Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of Strife's Talking Points. And in some breaking news here, or something I just found out about, Trump ousts National Security Advisor John Bolton, says they disagreed strongly on policy. I'm excited about this. I do like the idea of not having John Bolton there. For those of you who don't know, John Bolton is this little old man right here. He is well known as a war hawk, very much a foreign policy aggressor. Bolton is a foreign policy hawk, from Wikipedia, and is advocate for regime change wars in Iran, Syria, Libya, Venezuela, Cuba, Yemen, and North Korea. He's also repeatedly called for the termination of the Iran nuclear deal. He was advocate of the Iraq war, and continues to support his decision, or the decision to invade Iraq. He continuously supported military action and regime change in Syria, Libya, and Iran. A Republican, his political views have been described as American nationalist, conservative, neoconservative. Bolton rejects the last term. Bolton is a straight-up war hawk. He enjoys the idea of aggressively attacking countries that we have any kind of issue with. And you just see the list there: Iran, Syria, Libya, Venezuela, Cuba, Yemen, North Korea. Yemen, the U.S. is currently supporting the Saudi invasion. The Saudi, I've seen it reported as genocide. It's a very terrible thing what's going on in Yemen right now under American support. He supports what we're doing in Venezuela as far as trying to invade there, which you've seen President Trump and many others push back on that. Libya, the invasion there created slave markets. So I, as a American citizen, as a person, am very happy to see John Bolton go, because he always wants to invade, conquer, hundreds of billions of dollars in these useless regime change wars. And I'm a pretty big Tulsi Gabbard fan as far as that goes, not doing that. And the story here from Fox News: President Trump announced Tuesday that he has fired National Security Advisor John Bolton, saying he strongly disagreed with his suggestions on a range of issues. Probably the invasion of Iran, invasion of Venezuela, not pulling our troops out of Syria, and all these other massively expensive wars where there is no end game, there is no victory. It's just keep doing the more of the same. That's my thoughts. I disagree strongly with many of his suggestions, as did others in the administration, and therefore I asked John for his resignation, which was given to me this morning. He continued, "I thank you very much for your service, but we'll be naming a new national security advisor next week." These are just the tweets themselves. While Bolton swiftly challenged Trump's versions of events, saying he offered his resignation, he offered to resign. The two have had well-known disagreements on a range of hot-button national security issues, perhaps and most significantly on plans for a troop drawdown in Afghanistan. Don't know if anybody pays attention anymore, but the U.S. is currently engaged in wars in Africa, Yemen, Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq, trying, as you go along, it looks like we're trying to invade Iran, Venezuela, all these other countries. Just, it's a never-ending world conquest game for some of these people. And Bolton has been after this, and Trump always keeps backing off. And I agree with President Trump on that issue, where not just attacking people because they're there. There has to be a real credible threat to the U.S., and not just, we don't like you because you're bad. There are millions of bad people in the world, billions of bad people in the world, and a lot of them do run their own countries, and there's nothing the U.S. can do to stop that, because every time you smack one down, someone else pops up. Sorry, on my little rant there. I'm going to show this real quick here, because this is kind of a side note to the story. Trump fires John Bolton. This is the Google News overpage. John Bolton was fired, and the price of oil instantly fell. What John Bolton's, all these weird side stories. Now, I went and actually read one of these. This is from CNN. This is a very trash article talking about oil tumbled 2.2%, blah, blah. They go through all this and they talk about the trade war. I actually just pulled up the year-to-date pricing. Here's where the pricing has gone over the last few days. And you see it. It's not even at a low for the summer. It goes up through the summer in the west and then starts to drop through the winter. And if you go to a 6-month thing, it's just up and down. This is the oil market. You see it start to balance out. The price going up and down has nothing to do with Trump firing this guy. Nothing. But that's the lead on a lot of stories I see out here. Bolton's removal comes back to Fox News. I'm sorry. Bolton's removal comes after a hawkish advisor was reportedly sidelined from high-level discussions about military involvement in Afghanistan after opposing diplomatic efforts in the region. Trump is not a war hawk. As much as the mainstream media are trying to tell you that Trump's involved in all these wars, he's actually trying to get out of them. You've actually had most mainstream sites saying, hey, we support invasion of this country or that country. And they do it very subtly, and sometimes not so subtly in the case of Venezuela. And Syria, they're talking about pulling out of Syria because Assad's a bad guy. It doesn't matter. Assad is the king, the ruler of that country, and his people didn't want or started holding a few protests, and immediately the U.S. started arming citizens and created ISIS, the Islamic State, which really is why we ended up having to invade. Assad was already going to win. He was going to conquer. He's going to retake his nation. He was going to be in control again. And of course, we kept funding these groups and got ISIS out of it. Bolton would be kind of on the Obama side of that about trying to form this regime change. We want a new leader in Syria because we're America, and apparently that's a right people think we have here. And no, you don't have that. Pulling out of Afghanistan. What has that gotten us? The Taliban is still there. They are still a government. They are still partially in charge of the country, and there's very little we can do unless we want to conquer every nation in the Middle East, and that will only make the problem worse. Simply put, many of Bolton's policies did not align with POTUS. I hate POTUS. Why don't they call it the president? A White House official told Fox News on Tuesday. While Trump announced a 4,000 troop increase in 2017 as part of his effort to break the stalemate in the country, he has been moving toward agreeing to a phased withdrawal of troops. Some 14,000 troops have remained in Afghanistan, advising and assisting Afghan forces in conducting counterterrorism operations. Just bring them home. These countries can't stand on their own. So unless the U.S. wants to have a puppet state, and I mean dozens of puppet states are all around the world, it doesn't happen. Bring that money home, focus on things here in the U.S., focus on education, job training, healthcare, whatever. Billions upon billions of dollars that can come back to the U.S. Inside the administration, Bolton also advocated caution on Trump's strategy with North Korea and against Trump's decision last year to pull U.S. troops out of Syria. Again, Assad may be a bad guy. He could be a terrible guy, but it's not the U.S.'s job to enforce U.S. law and morality on foreign countries. Not our job. Bolton also led a quiet effort inside the administration and with allies abroad to convince the president to keep U.S. forces in Syria to counter ISIS and the Iranian influence in the region. Again, I would say if you're going to do anything there, just get out. Countering ISIS, which again, through the Arab Spring, a lot of U.S. guns, weapons, and money flowed into ISIS from CIA counter-terrorist organizations or whatever. Just they were trying to fund all these uprisings. Egypt, Libya, all across North Africa. And when it hit Syria, the rulers there were like, no, I have control of this country, immediately took it back, and of course then the US started funding them, which led to the formation of ISIS, because that's what happens when you indiscriminately dump money on rebel groups without any knowledge of what's going on. Bolton became Trump's national security advisor on April 2018, blah, 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 who cares? Bolton fired back Tuesday, tweeting moments after the president announced that he offered his resignation on Monday evening, saying it was not immediately accepted by Trump. Offered to resign last night, President Trump asked, let's talk about it tomorrow, Bolton tweeted. Well, sounds like Trump. I want to resign my position. Trump's, well, let's think about it a little bit. Next day, yeah, he's resigned. It's over. It's done. There you go. A little bit of history on him. Of course, he is a hardcore war hawk, wants to invade, conquer, just wreck any other country that he can. You're going to see this false news thing about oil prices, when you can immediately go look at oil prices and see, you know, it has nothing to do with him. Oil prices are up and down, and it's going to block me there. But anyway, what do you guys think? I am very happy to see John Bolton removed or resigned or whatever you want to say. I would like to see this over. I did, however, see the, let me look it up real quick. There was a video of Jim Acosta asking the traditional Jim Acosta stupid question, and we're going to watch the video here from the New York Post, hopefully. That's not going to work. I'm going to get a ton of commercials. But anyway, there's a video out there where Jim Acosta asks, is the foreign affairs team, national defense, in disarray now that Bolton's gone? Which is a ludicrous question. There are literally a dozen other people on the committee, and Bolton was already being pushed out overall because, you know, of course he wants to invade these countries. He wants more troops, more money, more attacks, more conquest. And, you know, whenever you see that as CNN's takeaway, Jim Acosta, the great moron, it's just, you just see where mainstream media has fallen apart. I am extremely excited to see this happen. However, of course, this is my opinion. These are my thoughts. As always, please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. That way I can see, am I coming at this from the right angle? Or, you know, should John Bolton have had his way? Should the U.S. have already invaded Iran? Should we have already invaded Venezuela? Should we pump, you know, 20,000 troops into Syria and Libya and Cuba and openly attack Yemen instead of supporting the Saudis doing it? I mean, what do you guys think? Should the U.S. go out and try and conquer countries, or should we fold back kind of to ourselves, protect our borders, protect our interests, and not, you know, as they say, not get involved in regime change wars? Those are my thoughts, my opinions. Please let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and have a great day.